What up, you guys? So, free speech is a topic I want to cover really quickly. I don't know how much time I have before my loud ass relatives come home, so I'm actually pressed for time. But, anyways, I want to talk about free speech and how important it is to be able to communicate. You know how you feel, say what's on your mind, 100%. You know what I mean? And what might restrict those things. Like if you're a free thinker, free speaker, and you get around friends that are so damn sensitive. First of all, sensitivity, that shit has to die if there's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, cause that's the people that are trying to take away free speech. Notice how sensitive they are. Like they call things hate speech. You know what I mean? Sometimes a person will have negative qualities, but then you get mad when you get exposed. You get mad when people do video posts about you, blog posts about you, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yo, if you had any good qualities, maybe people would talk about those things. But maybe, like, do you ever think to yourself, maybe you don't give people good things to say about you? You know what I mean? I meet a lot of people that, like, they meet 100 people who tell them how they feel, and they think the other 100 people are twisted or they have a skewed perspective. And it's like, nah, maybe people, what if people are telling you exactly how you are? You know what I mean? Because when it comes to the way that a lot of people judge themselves, they self-righteously judge themselves. They'll say like, yo, like I'm a good person. I do this, I do that. They'll magnify what they think makes them good, but completely neglect the things that probably make them messed up, right? And maybe these people are like overly sensitive, right? Sensitive. Maybe this is somebody you know in your life personally. You're like, man, I wish I could communicate to you, but you're so damn sensitive. I can't say anything without it being an immediate confrontation. And then maybe for the sake of peace or a false sense of peace, to be honest, it's a false sense of peace because people might bite their tongue for the sake of peace in the present. But a lot of times, you know what, like, you know what people end up doing? They randomly cut you off because they're like, yo, man, well, if I can't express how I feel, what the hell is the point of talking to you? You know, if there's so many damn landmines that I'm not supposed to be stepping on, you know, we draw so many lines in the sand to the point that people like literally can't walk anywhere without stepping on a landmine. You know what I mean? And that landmine is people's level of sensitivity towards what's being said. Oh, you don't have the right to say that. You don't have permission. It's like, you know, like that's why, like, I used to wonder why people are like, man, you should be humble. You should be humble. Like, why should I be humble? You know what I mean? Like, I realize it's not effective to tell people what they should be doing without telling them what's the ramifications if they don't. Like, how does it benefit me to be humble? How does it benefit me to, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's benefits to kindness. There's benefits to being a good person. There's benefits to, like, not being so damn selfish that when you don't get your way, you start raising your voice at people because you can't get the response you want out of them. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. And if you don't allow people to communicate effectively, and here's another point I want to touch on, right? When people are making cases against you, arguments against you, make their case against you strong, make their argument strong. Because if you conquer them with a strong argument, you know what I mean? It only strengthens you, you know? But if you make people's arguments weak, you know what I mean? Like if you say stuff like, let's say someone thinks that you're a manipulative, controlling person, right? They tell you straight up like that, right? And you say, yo, maybe you have a skewed vision. When you tell them that they have a skewed vision, right now you're making their argument weak. The way you could strengthen their argument is by asking them questions. Yo, so what makes me manipulative? What makes me controlling? Can you give me some tangible examples of times in my life where I've put you in circumstances where either you do things my way or there's like ramifications, or I was being manipulative, or I was being like, you know, give me examples of the character that you're portraying me as. Like, in what way have I been this way? Nobody has the humility to do that. Most people just default into, yo, like, you're crazy, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm not a bad person. I'm this. Like, you know, we're so quick to say what we're not, you know, like we might have no idea what we actually are because we spend so much time in delusion of what we think we are, you know. And then people get so offended when you tell them about themselves. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, they like telling you about yourself, but God forbid you flip the table and you tell them about themselves. They can't handle that. Like, what is that, man? Like, how come people can't, you know, communicate effectively? Why? I don't even know why I'm asking that question. I know exactly why, because people are emotional. You know what I mean? Like words, like certain words press certain buttons, you know, and the fact that you have buttons means that people can't say certain things. Or not that they can't, that you're gonna like make it a big deal when they say certain things, because because of the way you feel, because they're violating your feelings. Like, people live so sensual, man. Like, one thing about offense I want to say, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. You know what I mean? And, usually when people get offended, there's no holds bar. Like, there's no holds bar in terms of retaliation and what you say back to the person, because everything you say back, you feel like it's a fair game. Well, shit, you violated me, so I'm gonna violate you right back. It leads to that eye for an eye mentality. You know what I mean? And then you both lose your sight. So it's like, how can two people express themselves freely if both of them are sensitive as hell? It's one thing if it's only one person, if it's one-sided, like one person's a free thinker, free speaker, and then the other person's like, can't handle certain things. But when two people are sensitive as hell and they try to be friends, that friendship probably won't last. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, man. When people can't express to you how they feel about you, right? I talk a lot about, people have the right to say things about you behind your back, right? But I want to get into further details as to what would make a man want to talk about you behind your back. Like, maybe they want to talk to you. Here's a crazy thing about life. Maybe they want to express to you how much of a piece of shit they think you are, or how much they hate certain things that you do, or how much they wish certain things would change. But they know that you're not a good listener. You know what I mean? How many people have you guys met in this world that you have somewhere between 5 and 8 seconds to fully express yourself? And if you don't get to the point in 8 seconds, you're getting cut off and they're going to run you over with words. You know what I mean? These are the people that take the longest to change. They take the longest to grow. They take the longest to develop, because everything is insulting. Everything is offensive. Everything rubs them the wrong way. And it's like, damn, why are people so damn... Why are people so soft? Maybe because they hold on to so many rights, for God's sake. Like, man, like, this right and that right, and you don't have the right to say. And then we try to moderate other people's rights, and we try to like scroll through people's pages and tell them what they don't have the right to post, what they don't have the right to say, what they don't have the right to think, feel. If people can't think freely, you know what I mean? There's solutions that could be like, you know what I mean? There's solutions that will never rise, like solutions to certain problems that no one's ever going to talk about, because like people are going to try to suppress the person that's thinking freely and speaking freely. Right. And it's just like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, considering like if it's not, if we can't have open discussions, anybody that you can't have an open discussion with, it puts a barrier on how high that friendship could go. It puts a barrier. It puts a huge limitation on it. You know what I mean? Because like, there's a good chance that people don't, if people like, they feel like trapped in, because like, I've been in situations where, man, I used to live with someone. I thought this dude was a piece of shit, like straight up, like that's how I felt, and I never told him that. I just wrote a song about it, eventually I showed him this song, and he had hurt feelings about it. He felt like I had no business writing that song, because in his mind, he thinks that he provides me too much value. Provided you a place to stay. You should be more appreciative. You should, this is why people can't adapt, because they're obsessed, and I have so many like ideas that like go back to all these podcasts that I've been doing. I know I always talk about the same shit. It's only like 7 things that I believe in, 4 things. I don't know how many, but like, so this person was like, you don't have the right to feel that way, say those words, think that way. And it's like, when the ball is in my court, the ball is in my court. You know what I mean? When the ball is in your court, here's the thing. When the ball is in my court, people try to control it, like, let me give you some tangible examples, right? Let's say me and you are playing chess, right? You can't, how are we going to play chess if you're moving my pieces for me? Like, you're playing your side of the board, and then you hop over and play my side of the board. Like, you might as well play chess by yourself. And that's a metaphor for, you might as well have a relationship by yourself. You know what I mean? If you're moving your chess pieces, which means you're freely expressing your emotions and how you feel, but then you hop over to my side of the chessboard and you're like, you don't have the right to move these pieces on this spot or there, or it's like, bruh, like, let people move the pieces and they'll grow, right? Because unless I make a couple mistakes, how will I know that was a bad move? You know what I mean? Like, unless I learn for myself, like, we're trying to prohibit people from moving to certain places. Like I said, we draw so many lines in the sand that people can't fucking walk at all. You know what I mean? And I relate to that level of restrictiveness where you feel like, man, fuck this person. I'm gonna just cut them off then if I can't talk to them. Like, what's the point of even being friends if everything that I say is offensive? You know what I mean? And that's why I talk about offense so much and getting rid of it. The only way to get rid of offense is to believe, when it comes to words that people say that you believe is offensive, is believing that people have the right to say, think, and feel what they want, simply because you have the right to say, think, and how you have the right to say, think, and feel what you want, but yet it's an issue when other people do it. Hypocrisy, man. And that's what stops people from growing. Pride makes people, you know what pride does to people? It'll make stupid things seem smart. You know what I mean? It will make nonsense matter. Like it will make a person major in minor things. You'll take a minor thing and major on it, you know, and spend so much time on something. You know what I mean? Like I've been in a situation before where this person, like, they'll come home, right, and they want a specific parking spot. Which, you know, like whatever, like if they want a certain parking spot, that's fine. But like they obsess with this parking spot so much that if someone's in their spot, they'll wake up everybody in the household. They got to come downstairs, move their car. And even though there's other spots that this person could park, you know what I mean? But like is a mindset of like, well, you know, well, I'm the man of the house, you know what I mean? So like you move when I say move, like you sit where I say sit, like, you know, that type of mentality, like, you know what I mean? Like if you don't like it, get out type of stuff, which is fine. Like, you know, people can have whatever mindset they want, but it's like, bruh, like when you're so obsessed with a parking spot that even though it's 1 a.m, you're willing to wake everybody else up so that you could have the fucking spot. Like this is the type of stuff that pride will make a parking spot significant. That shit doesn't matter in the scheme of things. You know what I mean? Like, I think if this person had 10 minutes to live, they wouldn't care that they didn't have a good parking spot. You know what I'm saying? We're so desperate for a parking spot. It's like, bro, like, you know, if you're fully functional, park in the back. Like, why you got to get, you know, why you got to park like so damn close, you know? Like, you know, I don't know. So anyways, so yo, man, like yeah. So pride, it'll definitely make things that don't matter so much. Like things like who's returning your texts, who's loving you, who's doing this, who's doing that. You know what I mean? And pride will make you think that other people don't have the right to express certain things. You know, you gotta realize what type of audacity you have to say that, because you wouldn't dare let someone tell you that you can't think freely, you can't speak freely, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't let nobody like try to put those restrictions on you, but yet you put them on others, and you wonder why all your relationships die. Because when people try to tell you about the things you do that they can't stand, right? They can't, if they never communicate it, how will you know that they have a problem with you? So what people do is they have a problem with you, never address it to you, but all your friends know how much of an idiot you are, right? All your friends know how much your wife hates you. All your friends know exactly what's happening. Everybody knows what's wrong with you besides you, because nobody could tell you, because your level of sensitivity prevents people from fucking speaking. You know what I mean? And then you go on for 25 years being a mediocre ass person, having no idea how messed up you are. But you never gave your chance to have an idea of how messed up you are, because you never positioned people to be able to speak freely to you by strengthening their arguments when they come to you with a problem. You know what I mean? It's important to strengthen people's arguments, because when you conquer them in their argument, like, you really conquer them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why, like, I'm not a fan of, like, fucking, having sex with drunk women. You know what I mean? Because, like, she's not in a sober state. Like, how do I know she likes me? You know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather somebody be clear-minded, so I know if I'm able to, like, pull off, like, taking them out on a date or, like, hanging out with them. Like, then I'll know, like, I'll be like, all right, well, I didn't have to get her drunk to get something out of her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't respect that. Like, if someone's in their weak state, you know, and you conquer them there. Like, it's the same thing with, like, with arguments. Like, you know, someone will tell you, yo, every time you do, like, yo, you're egotistical, you're prideful, you want glory. Like, it seems like you want people to praise you. It's all about a thank you. Like, when people don't show you gratitude, you completely lose your mind. And then you start regretting all the good things you do for people. Like, why is it all about gratitude? People will say that. And then you're like, oh, it's not about the gratitude. It's just like, you know, it's common courtesy, you know, common courtesy is disguised for pride. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just because you grew up being a certain level of courteous doesn't mean people have the same home training, doesn't mean that people abide by the same rules. You know what I mean? Like, in other countries, when two people lock eyes and they don't say hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, like, that's considered disrespectful in a lot of countries. In New York City, no one gives a fuck. Like, people walk past each other, make eye contact, and it's like whatever. Like, in fact, in New York City, like, my bad, let me turn that off. A lot of people don't want to be said hello to. You know what I mean? A lot of people are antisocial as hell. Like, not everybody, but yeah, man. So always be curious. Be more curious than you are critical. Position people to be able to speak freely, because you might be dating someone that doesn't speak good English, you know, and they might have a problem with you, and then all you're doing is weakening their arguments and weakening their arguments, because every time they tell you they don't like something, your pride has been injured. You know what I mean? When you remove your pride, there's nothing for other people to injure, and then you're not an emotional liability to them, and then they feel comfortable expressing themselves because they feel like, well, if I tell him what's wrong with him, I'm comfortable to know that he's not going to completely lose his mind. In fact, he'll try to meet me halfway and try to come to an understanding and then even come to a solution after the fact. You know what I mean? If you don't position people to be able to like come to solutions, people will find their own solution. And sometimes their solution includes cutting you off because they'd rather not deal with someone that they can't freely express themselves to. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, man, the only people that's fighting for that's, advocating hate speech is the people that are sensitive as hell. And they think that life needs to adapt to them instead of them adapting to life. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yo, just because here's the thing, right? You try to suppress someone's free speech, right? They're still going to think it, right? What is free speech besides like a mirror reflection of exactly what someone's thinking? What someone says to you is exactly what they're thinking. You know what I mean? So when you suppress what they say, you can't suppress their thoughts because they're still going to think those thoughts. And a lot of people, they feel like when they have to vent or when they feel like they have to like socialize about what's going on, what's wrong, because you might not like, you might be like, yo, man, how come people have a problem, but they never come to me? But you haven't asked yourself, have you made yourself a person that people could come to? Maybe you're not a person anyone could go to. And that's why everyone finds out news before you do. Like, I remember I heard this one dude, like, he doesn't really have a close relationship with his dad. And he would notice that his dad doesn't tell him certain things. And he's like, man, why am I the last one in the family to find out certain things? And it's like, bro, well, if you make yourself someone that no one could speak to, like, he's not going to feel comfortable telling you certain things. Ask yourself, am I always judging people? Am I always condescending? Am I always condemning? Am I always throwing a Bible at people? If you're a religious freak, like, that might be one of the reasons that you're the last person in the family to know certain things. You know what I mean? That's the reason that you're the person in the family that everybody knows there's a family reunion except you. Because maybe nobody wanted you to come to the family reunion. And that might be hurtful. That might be a hurtful, like, understanding to come to, that, yo, like, my fucking family doesn't like me. But, more than you shouldn't dwell on, oh, well, family should like me. Your family should do this. Because this is what people do. When your own family doesn't like you, you'll obsess over how they should, instead of obsessing over, man, I wonder if I caused that. Let me reflect on what the hell I did. I wonder if I did anything wrong. Wonder if I said anything wrong. Like, yo, this is why empathy is like a superpower, yo. Like, because you'll know how to get into other people's heads, and hopefully, you'll know how to do that in a way that's not manipulative. Like, you'll do it to try to have understanding with people, to come to the conclusion and to come to a solution. You know what I mean? Like, but, so it's good to be empathetic. When you're empathetic, people will tell you about yourself, and you'll have so much self-awareness that you'll understand what they mean when they tell you about yourself, that you won't think that they have a twisted view, and even if they do, like, you'll be like, well, that's your opinion. What am I going to do? Get mad that you think that way about me? That you think less of me, or you don't think as highly of me as I thought you did? You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, man, always encourage your partners, whoever you're in a relationship with. This works with everybody, friends, marriages. Always ask yourself, yo, is there anything that I could be doing better? Is there anything that I do that you're dissatisfied with? Is there anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the last thing I did that made you really upset? Like, what was the words that I said? What was the tonality that I used? Like, teach me a better tonality to use. Teach me better words, or teach me like ways that I could effectively communicate to you, where instead of you taking offense, you'll hear me for what I'm saying instead of hearing me for what I'm not saying. Like, try to have those conversations. Try to have those conversations like 80% of the time. And then people, when they think of you, they'll think of you as a person that has empathy. They'll think of you as someone who might not understand everything, but you're willing to meet people halfway. You're willing to try to be understanding and find some damn common ground. And when you establish yourself as someone that's trying to find common ground, right? People like that, yo. People, they'll gravitate towards that. They'll gladly tell you how much they don't like you. They'll gladly tell you, not to spite you. Because here's the thing, right? Sometimes when people don't like you, you think the only reason they're telling you that is to hurt your feelings. Fuck, man. These damn feelings. You know what I mean? People live so sensual. Like, how do you know that people are not? Because if they don't tell you, how will they ever come to a solution? If you don't even know they have a problem. And this is why everyone else knows that one person has a problem with you. Everybody knows that who's beefing with you except for you, because no one could tell you anything because you're soft. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what's worse is some of you think you were born soft. Some of you think God made you. God doesn't make soft people. You know what I mean? We become soft by being molded by the injustice of this world. Like there's things shaping our personality that has nothing to do with the Lord, that has nothing to do with what your characteristics were supposed to be, what your personality type was supposed to be, like your true potential and what you could look like if you wasn't so damn soft and easily offended and so bothered by words all the time. You know what I mean? Like one time I was in a vehicle with somebody, right? And the GPS was on, so this person can't really look at the GPS and look at the road. Like they're very like, focused on the road and stuff. So I was like, hey, turn here. The person was like, oh, don't worry about it. I got it. I'm like, all right, you got it. Can I turn the GPS off if you got it? They're like, nah, like, cause I know how to get there 90% of the way, but I don't know how to get there 100% of the way. Right. So I'm like, all right, well, if you don't know how to get there 100% of the way, you don't know how to get there at all. So let me just leave it on, So that hit a nerve. When I said that, it hit a big nerve to the point that this person, I literally said, hey, can you stop attacking me? I was like, yo, I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying, like, realistically, like, can you imagine if you're about to get heart surgery and you ask the doctor, yo, dude, you know what you're doing? Well, 90%, I'm 90% sure that you tell that dude, get the fuck out of here. You're not doing heart surgery on me 90%, knowing 90% of the stuff you're supposed to know. You better know 120%. You know what I mean? If you're going to open me up, and you see what I mean? Like, yo, like, if you were receiving heart surgery, even the person who got mad at me, right? If they ever listen back to this podcast, they're going to agree. I would never let someone do heart surgery on me if they claim to only know 90% of the material. Like, bro, you better be an expert. You know what I mean? Because if you don't know it 100%, you don't know it. If you kind of know how to get to heaven, you don't know how to get there. You know what I'm saying? If you kind of know how to be a better person, that means you don't. If you anything you kind of know, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? But the person, like, it struck a nerve because it injured their pride. And then they got into defense mode and thought that the only reason I said that because I was maliciously attacking them, which I wasn't. But the thing about your mind, like, if someone doesn't have twisted intentions when they talk to you, it doesn't matter if you think that they do, right? Because whatever you think, it becomes your reality. Your perception is your reality. A lot of people's reality is shaped by their perception. This is why, you know what I'm saying? This is why, even though there's millions of people that speak English, so many people that speak English don't even understand each other. They speak the same fucking language and they don't know what the other person's saying because, they don't relate to certain things, or they don't know how to have empathy. You know what I mean? Like, empathy divides people, like a lack of empathy, rather. Lack of self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like we're so eager to like hold a magnifying glass over other people's imperfections, but incapable of seeing our own shit. And that's why we never grow as people. And we hold other people to such a standard that they should live up to, but yet we fail to become what we suggest to others. That shit looks weak, you know what I mean? And if you're one of those people I'm describing, then no wonder why no one wants to listen to you. If you're a super like religious like person, like no wonder why, like, because people see your life more than they hear your ministry, more than they hear your scriptures coming out of your mouth. They see the life that you live. They're studying you, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they're bearing witness to. They're like, yo, like, you're so religious, but yet you don't forgive anybody. You don't love anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't you know the devil memorized 1,000 scriptures too? Like, that's not significant. Like, if you don't love people, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, and I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of religious people that get called out on that. Like, yo, you're a religious person. I don't think you give a fuck about people. I think you give a fuck about having a religion and upholding people to the same standard, but you don't give a fuck about becoming what you uphold people to. And that's hypocrisy. And people, they're not gonna want to listen to you, So anyways, and a lot of religious people, what I notice about super religious people, they're also super sensitive. They're also super incapable of having honest conversations, incapable of letting people express themselves freely because they can't tolerate certain buttons being pushed. And they think that in order for the conversation to continue, the other person has to not push their buttons, right? But here's the problem though. Some religious people have 2,000 buttons. It's like, how do you talk to someone like that? The fuck, like, I gotta avoid 2,000 different things when I speak to you. Like, you see how difficult that's gonna make a conversation, and you think that people need to respect your buttons. You know what I mean? It's better if you get rid of those buttons. It's better if you try to eliminate all 2,000 buttons, like, shit. And if you can't, like, remove 1,500 of them, remove 1,800, 1,900 of your 2,000 buttons, because it'll make your conversations with people go that much smoother because you're not listening to be offended anymore. You know what I mean? Like, if you listen and be offended, you're going to be offended whenever listening, because that's all that you've trained your mind and your ears to listen for, is through the screen and filter of offense. So it alters the way you hear things. It's crazy how, like, you know what I mean? Some of these podcasts, like, there's going to be certain people that hear this and they're going to hear it just to be discouraged by it, because, they're going to start comparing their life to mine, or my mindset to theirs. They're going to look at what they don't have and think that they have to continue being that way. And then look at what I do have and think that I was born lucky, I'm born gifted, or I'm born with super intellect and compassion, empathy, love. I had to learn a lot of these simple concepts. They're simple to me now, but I studied a lot of the things that I know. Not like, you know what I mean? I studied people that were better human beings than me. And I saw what they had that I didn't. And I studied them so long that I was able to have what they have just by tossing philosophies out the window that were destroying my life. You know what I mean? There's certain mindsets that don't serve you to have, but you're going to continue having it because you identify with your own thoughts so much. You think that you are your thoughts. You know what I mean? The thing is, you become your thoughts. You know what I mean? And if you're a mediocre person, it's only because being a mediocre person is only a reflection of a mediocre mindset, because, you live from your perspective. You know what I mean? Your perspective shapes your conversations, where you live, how you live, what you drive. Like, you know what I mean? If you're a minimalist, or if you're someone that believes in abundance, like, those are two different perspectives that cause, you know what I mean? So this is why, like, sometimes I get on here, I talk about, entrepreneurs. They're really mad at the working class people that don't want to be entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, it's a whole different mindset. Like, because when you own your own business, it's on you. You know what I mean? Like, you can't blame anybody if it fails. And you're so dependent on getting a sale, right? And, I'm sure everybody could learn how to make sales, but that's a skill that certain people don't care about, because they want what they consider to be security, job security. You know what I mean? Like, they're scared of taking risks. And I know you might argue, well, nothing is secure. Like, as soon as you had kids, there's a chance they could die. As soon as you got married, there was a chance you could get divorced. Like, you know what I mean? Everything's risky. But, like, they just don't have the mindset at the moment. Like, they might develop the mindset. They might, I've seen people that go from one side of the spectrum to the other and vice versa. But, like, getting mad at people doesn't change their current mindset. It just makes you look like another frustrated person that's frustrated that they won't think the way that you think they should think. And that's another thing, right? Besides, like, another thing that restricts free speech is people who get so mad at people that have different mindsets, right? Religious people getting mad at atheists getting mad at religious people, and, you know what I'm saying, gays getting mad at, people that they feel oppressed by or whatever. It's always one class of people versus the other, and both of them have the same mindset in a sense, the mindset of, I can't understand the people on the other side of the fence. They're ridiculous. They're nothing like me. They disgust me. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're magnifying yourself above other people, like becoming self-righteous, not realizing that there's shit that you ought to work on. You know what I mean? Like, so anyways, yeah, I met this one guy. He wishes all people were the same. And, he thinks, he tells me, I hear what he says, but, you know what I mean? Like, I see past, he's saying, yo, I wish people were the same because wars would stop. Nobody would fight anymore, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, I think you wish people were the same because you wouldn't have to adapt anymore. Life would be easier for you. And because you like easy, you seem to be a person that just is gravitated towards easy. Maybe that's why you wish everyone was the same, because then you wouldn't be so triggered by people that don't act like you, don't think like you. The only reason you're triggered, bro, is because you have a standard on how other men should live, and you think how other men should live is your business to criticize. I mean, feel free to criticize people if you want to, but just know that you're raising your own blood pressure, you know what I'm saying? Unnecessarily getting mad at people that they don't wake up in the morning to please you. You know what I mean? Like, so these are some of the thoughts that keep me level-headed, is just knowing that you don't wake up to please me. You know what I mean? I don't wake up to please you. Like, you don't wake up to find fulfillment in me, and vice versa. You know what I mean? If you're trying to find your fulfillment in people and people loving you and people saying the right things, this is why people are so discouraged, so hurt, so let down, because they put so much faith and hope and trust into people. You know what I mean? Like, you think people know what they want? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people say they're for you, and then they switch on you, and then they're gone just like that, out of nowhere. A lot of people only care about what they could get from you, and that's it. They don't give a shit about you. What they love, when they tell you they love you, they love what they could get from you. That's what they love. A lot of times, not everybody, but you know what I'm saying? There's definitely people that exist that they will only try to extract value from you, but not try to give you any value. You know what I mean? There's also people in this world that, like, they think, oh, just because we're homies, I should get a discount. You know what I mean? Like, like, I don't know, man, entitlement, expectation. People go into, like, if you went into an AT&T store, right? You're trying to get a cell phone and you're like, yo, I want $1,000 phone, but since you're my boy, working behind his desk, you should give me a 79% discount. He'd look at you like you're out of your mind, bro. Like, I don't know why people they become friends and they think they're so entitled to receiving from each other. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, man. And sometimes you have one conversation with somebody, you think that means they're your friend. You make a song with somebody, you think that means they're your friend. You know what I mean? You go to one party with a person, you think that means they're your friend. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people might think they know who their friends are, but the people they claim are for them are super secretly against them. You know what I mean? There's people that pretend to like you and secretly behind your back, they just can't stand you. And I don't know why people do that, but it happens. You know what I mean? So, and I just know one thing though. I know one thing for sure, man. The more that you try to position other people rather, to let them think, talk, and like just express themselves freely, right? It's good to know what people think. You know what I mean? It's not good to dwell on it. Like it's good to hear feedback. It's not good to lose sleep at night. Because you're so crushed because you want to create something and 25 people told you suck, and then their voices is becoming so loud you're starting to believe you suck. Now you don't want to be an artist anymore. Like that's when you're dwelling. But it's okay to hear feedback and be empathetic and understand that the same message is not going to mean the same thing to every person that hears it. You know what I mean? Like, even when Jesus preached, there was a time when Jesus was preaching and there was I forgot, it was a multitude of people, but some people heard what he was saying and they got confused. Some people was like, yo, what's going on? Some people was like, man, like, I really like what he's saying. Some people hated him instantly. Some people were confused. Some people were lost. Like, so it's crazy how one speaker, right? There's one speaker on stage, thousands of people witnessing, but yet so many different reactions to the same message. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be different interpretation. What's up, Ariana? So yeah, man, and you don't, one last thing. Well, I don't know if this is going to be the last thing. I'm going to talk until my relatives come home. When people tell you about yourself, please don't always assume that the only reason they're doing it is to attack you, to do a character assassination. How do you know that people are maliciously, intentionally trying to make you feel bad? If your mind makes it that way, that'll become your truth, even if it's based on a lie. Like, even if that's not true to you, it won't matter because your pride will tell you that it's true. You know what I mean? And the pride makes people fucking socially retarded, man. It makes them like incapable of communicating effectively, quick to anger, quick to wrath, quick to judge, you know what I mean? Quick to do everything wrong, basically, you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, man, that's why, I used to wonder, I was like, man, I wonder when I read Corinthians, why is it the first thing it says about love, the first thing it says is love is patient, then it says love is kind, you know what I mean? Because like, if you're not patient, then you're going to be so ready to explode when people say something that you consider offensive and you don't even know what their intention is behind them saying it. You just assume that they're trying to be offensive, that they're trying to get under your skin. It's like, even if you thought that, if someone's trying to get under your skin, why would you just let them get under your skin and fall for that trap? You know what I mean? Like, when I know someone's trying to piss me off, why would I get pissed off when I know that that's what they're trying to do to me? Like, I'm giving them what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, man, you gotta let people express themselves to you in regards to whatever problem they have with you, and don't assume that they're a deluded person, because maybe you're the one that's deluded. Maybe you're the one that has completely like no self-awareness, and you don't realize what a terrible person you are, but you keep magnifying yourself self-righteously as if you're incredible, and everyone knows how much of a terrible person you are besides you, because no one could tell you that you're terrible, because your ego and your pride doesn't let people speak for more than 5 to 8 seconds before you cut them off. And then you try to readjust what they're saying or twist their words or be like, oh, nah, maybe you have the wrong interpretation of me. Like, no, bro, maybe they have the right interpretation of you and you have the wrong interpretation of self. You know what I mean? Maybe you think that you're a much better person than you actually are. You know what I mean? And if you lack self-awareness, you'll have no idea how terrible you are. And here's the thing about the conscious mind. Your conscious mind bears witness against you. I don't really believe anyone could be so deluded that they're unaware of their shortcomings, that they're unaware of whatever they're doing wrong. You know what I mean? But I think we try to mask it with language, with, oh, I'm not that bad. Or we try to compare ourselves to other people. Well, I'm not as bad as so and so, you know, at least I'm not in prison, or I don't kill people, or I don't murder, or I don't rape, I don't steal, I don't lie, blah, blah, blah. And you think because you don't do those things that you're not a bad person. But yet, every chance you get to manipulate somebody and exploit somebody, like maybe you'll take that route. But you don't lie, you don't rape, you don't steal, you don't kill, you don't murder, you know, but you manipulate. Like, is that not bad? You know, and if you lack self awareness, like when someone tells you, yo, bro, you're a manipulative person, like, why are you so controlling? Why does it have to be your way? Like, how come when you don't get your way, you lose your cool really quickly, right? And if they can't, you know, some people, as much as I just said now, they won't even be able to get that much out in regards to the person that they're trying to speak to, because the other person they're trying to speak to that's controlling and manipulative is so damn sensitive that you can't even say that many words before they cut you off to try to adjust what you're saying and change what you're saying and tell you that maybe you have the problem and not them. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Like, I love when shit is my fault. I wish everything was my fault, because when it's my fault, I have control, man. I could fix it. I could do it. I could do something. I could adjust. I could adapt. You know what I'm saying? When things is someone else's fault, you know, like I try not to even dwell on that, but I just prefer shit to be my fault, man, because then I could do something about it. So what's up, Delante? What's going on, bro? Uh, so yeah, man, you know, sometimes people are gonna have opinions about you, right? And maybe sometimes they're not justified, right? But sometimes they are. But if you don't have conversations, how are you gonna know? You know, it's always the conversation that you don't want to have that you probably should have. You know what I mean? Like, it's always the conversations that you're trying to push until, you know, you're like, yo, like, I don't want to talk about this shit right now, man. Like, I'm not in the mood. Like, you know, get back to me in like 3 days when, you know, like when I'm not on vacation, and then we could talk about it, you know. And then you get off vacation, and then you got another excuse for why you can't have the conversation. Yo, man, you trying to bring that up again? Yo, I'm still not in the mood, man. Like, why you trying to have this conversation, man? Why you so serious? Like, and it's like, yo, like, you don't know what a person's trying to say to you, you know? And the amazing thing about life, yo, is at any moment, God could use the people that, even the people you don't respect, even the people you hate, he could use them to say something meaningful to you, to say something that maybe you need to hear at the moment, you know? And every time you restrict someone from speaking, you're potentially blocking a blessing, because when people tell you about yourself, is an opportunity to adjust, to change, to adapt, to grow. You know what I mean? Like, but most people see being told about yourself, we see that as an opportunity to be offended. That we're so fucking offended, yo. Shit, man. Like, we're so quick to want to get offended. Like, we don't try to see past the offense and see, man, I wonder why this person said that to me. I wonder if I really am a terrible person. I wonder if I really, let me reflect. Let me ask this person to give, maybe they could give me examples of what makes me so terrible from their perspective. What have I done to cause, you know, and let me see if I could reason with them, you know, and not try to justify. Here's another thing people do. Like, I've seen a dude yell at his mom, yo, yell at his mom at the top of her lungs. He gave her a bullshit apology, and then as soon as he's done barking on her, he's like, yo, but mom, I'm sorry. He's like, yo, mom, I'm sorry for yelling at you, but this is where the bullshit comes in. Whenever somebody says, but, I'm sorry, but, then comes the justification for his actions. I'm sorry for yelling at you, mom, but I would have never barked on you had you not pressed my buttons, had you not been annoying, had you not done this, had you, bruh, it's always somebody else's fault why you yell at people. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how to not yell at people. You don't know how to not, you don't know how to get rid of your buttons. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and yo, there's ways to learn this stuff, man. Like, if only people were more curious about how to change, how to manage emotions. You know what I mean? Everything that you struggle with, there's a book dedicated to it, bro. Like, there's a podcast dedicated to it. There's a, you know, if you don't know how to not be so angry, there's videos about that. You know, go watch somebody's testimony and see how they overcame anger, and see, you know, people that used to be so damn angry and now they're not, and how peaceful they are now, you know. And you know, the thing is, we look at people and we be like, oh, that can't possibly be me because I've always been angry. It could be you if you throw your current philosophy out the fucking window. The reason you can't change is because you hold on to a philosophy that's destroying you, and you identify with that philosophy because you think that's your identity, and you don't know that that has nothing to do with what you were created to be. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if the shit that you're clinging on to is mediocrity, because to you that shit is gold, because you're like, yo, well, this personality type that I currently have, this is all I know. And then you hold on to all you know. You know, here's a crazy quote, right? I'll give you two of them actually. They say that a familiar hell is better than an unfamiliar heaven. And you know why that is? Because people prefer routine. They like what they're used to. They like what they're accustomed to. This is why people work at a job they hate for 27 years and they refuse to change. Like, maybe they live in New York City and they've always wanted to move to Florida for the last 15 years, but they're so accustomed to the daily grind, the daily routine, wake up Monday morning, 8 o'clock a.m., brush your teeth, get out the house by 8:30. You know what I'm saying? Come home around 4:30, 5:30, whatever. You know what I mean? Kiss your wife, watch TV for 6 hours, go to sleep, repeat for 18 years. You know what I mean? That routine. People are so used to that they feel like they're scared of adapting. They're like, yo, shit, when I go to Florida, I got to find a new routine, or when I change my mindset, man, what am I going to be like? How about maybe you'll be the person that you want to be? Like maybe you'll be that much closer to what you could have been. It's never too late to become who you could have been. Like if you struggle with anger, if you struggle with fucking anxiety, social anxiety, a lot of you, like, I say it sometimes, I don't say it enough. Like I have social anxiety right now. Like as comfortable as I am doing these podcasts, if I'm around 20 people in a room, I get fucking awkward, yo. Like I don't know why that happens, but I know that I'm going to overcome that shit because it can't be an obstacle to, that stands in my way towards the things that I want to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I got super off topic. I really intended this podcast to be about like free speech and why it's so important. And it's really sensitivity that stands in the way of free speech. It's the sensitive ass people that's trying to take it away because they can't handle someone else freely expressing themselves. But yet people be like, oh, can you stop saying that? It triggers me. And it's like, bruh, like, well, learn how to not get triggered, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we think that for us to not get triggered, people have to like not say things that trigger us. You know what I'm saying? Remove your triggers. Like, you know what I mean? Life doesn't give a fuck that you're offended, that you're like, that everything hurts you. Yo, when I started realizing how little people give a fuck, I stopped dwelling on how I think they should give a damn. And I started realizing, let me get strong, in case people never care. What am I going to do? Wait for people to care about my feelings and my opinion and how I feel? And, what I'm saying? Some people are never going to care. Some people are never going to adjust. Some people, like, and what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to be a mess emotionally because other people won't adapt to me. Let me learn how to adapt to other people because there's peace in that. There's peace in being adjustable, adaptable, because when you're so set in it being a certain way and no one has the right to freely express and people need to stop triggering me, it's all about you, like me. You know why people suffer, bro? Because they're alive for themselves and they go to church. They go to church. They wake up in the name of the Lord, right? But they go to church for themselves. You know what I'm saying? They go to God for what they could get out of him. They just want to go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to learn how to love people. They don't want to learn how to overcome offense, how to really love your neighbor, how to really like when people could say anything to you and it doesn't matter because if they said something meaningless, you just throw it in a sea of forgetfulness. Right? And just doesn't mean anything to you because it wasn't valuable. It wasn't worth your time consuming. And as quickly as it went into your earlobes, it goes out the other side of your head and you never think about it again. That's an amazing skill to have. But to do that, you got to understand like there's a hierarchy of values. You know what I mean? There's things that so imagine like a ranking system, right? First place is like the shit that's the most important in life, whatever that is, all the way up to 10th place, So the thing is, we put so many things that don't matter in first place in terms of importance. You know what I mean? People's opinions, what is said behind our back, what people are, like who's talking to who about what when I'm not around. Like that should be in first, second, and third place a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, I said this before, like they don't do well emotionally. They major in minor things. You know what I mean? If you spend a lot of major time on minor things, it takes away time from your goals and all that you could become and, stuff like that. Things that you really want to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? Like time is limited. I don't know if people think they live forever, but you know what I mean? Some people entertain themselves 12 hours a day as if they're coming back. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, bruh, like once you're gone, you're gone. And if you didn't accomplish what the fuck you were supposed to accomplish, it's, you won't be able to dwell on it or do anything about it. Like it's too late, So, and that's one thing I know. I'm sure a lot of 75, 85, 90, 95-year-old people think about is all the shit that they could have become, like all the pessimistic ass neighbors that they listen to as to why their business opportunity wouldn't work, and negative ass relative that they listen to, or families and friends, people that claim they were your friend. Oh yeah, and and people think they're doing you a service by telling you that if you start a business, you're going to fail, so it's better that you don't start. People say that, and then at the end of that, they'd be like, but I'm just trying to be your friend. No, the fuck you're not. You're trying to place a limitation on me. How is that you being my friend? Like, You know what I'm saying? Like, you being my friend is like, yo, bro, go for it. If you fail, you believe in God, right? So God got your back, man. Like, why are you so scared to fail? Like, how dare you believe in God and be scared of failure? Because don't you think he'll be right there to pick you up when you fall? You know what I'm saying? Like, people that don't believe in God, maybe those people ought to be scared, because when they fail, like, what the hell do they lean on? What do they turn to? You know, and no offense against those people, man. I love all people, whether you're atheist, I don't care what your belief system is. But I seriously don't. That's actually a good question. I wonder what do atheist people do when shit gets hard and they need to find a place of fortitude, or, you know, a place of strength or something to lean on, you know, because most atheists, it seems like they lean on circumstances being ideal, circumstances being good. But the way life works, a lot of times life doesn't go the way we expect, you know. And if we're only doing as good as life is doing to us, then that means we're positioned for misery as soon as life decides that, you know, it's going to go a different direction, you know. And then we become a product of what's happening to us, instead of being a product of, like, being grounded in a foundation that's so damn strong that, you know what I'm saying, you don't fall apart when everything falls apart around you, because your inner foundation is powerful. You know what I'm saying? It keeps you going, you know. So, like, the storm comes to the foolish man and to the wise man. The foolish man takes the storm personally because he thinks God sent the storm to torment him or something. It's like, nah, like, you know, there's something, you're supposed to come out the storm not losing your sense of identity because of it, because of the storm. You know what I mean? In the storm, you know who you are, what you were created for, and what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And you never lose your sense of gratitude for life and the things that you are thankful for. And no matter how bad it gets, you know that it could be worse, right? And then you just hold on to your goals, you know, the things that you want to accomplish, like, you know. So, to be honest, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, right? And then I'm gonna go right back into talking about people expressing themselves freely. All right, so I mentioned the parking lot situation, right? There was a time when someone came home and they don't give a shit, right? If people are sleeping, if it's 11 at night, 12 at night, when they come home, if somebody's in their parking spot, people got to wake up, move the hell out the way, and let this person park where they want to park, right? And it doesn't matter how much of an inconvenience that's being towards other people, right? Because it's my parking spot. That's this person's mentality, right? So I got woken up for that shit. Do you know that that would have bothered me if I didn't take my goals personally? If I didn't take the shit that I want to accomplish personally? Like, I'd take it so personal that this person is so obsessed with a parking spot that I would literally have time to have an attitude about that, about getting woken up out of my sleep. It's like, bro, like, I'd be like, you know, yo, you can't park in the back. Like, there's other places you could be parking. Like, what's your obsession with that one specific parking spot? It's just a fucking parking spot. You know what I mean? But I only thought about it for like less than 2 minutes. And then I just reminded myself, yo, you know what? Today, like, you know, like, this is not going to last forever. You know, one day I'm going to be accomplishing shit. One day I'm going to be living my dreams. And I believe that shit. In the midst of everything going wrong and stupid shit happening, I just know that one day, everything that I used to complain about, it's just not going to matter, yo. It's not going to matter another man's obsession with a parking spot. Like, what's that going to have to do with me in a year or two from now? You know what I'm saying? Like, if life goes the way I'm planning it, what's that going to have to do with anything? You know what I mean? So these are the things that prevent me from getting offended. It's like, yo, this shit, what you just said, man, has nothing to do with my goals, with the shit that I believe in, my principles, like my life purpose. You know what I mean? This is why I don't take stuff personal, because I know the right things to take personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, a relationship with God, like, you know what I mean? Kindness, being kind, being patient with other people, because I know that there's a lot of people that are lunatics, but people don't stop being lunatics just because you think that they should have their sanity. You know what I'm saying? People don't stop being cruel just because you have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? And most people respond to cruelty with cruelty. You know what I mean? And you're being molded by other people. So, you know, I can't let someone bring that side out of me, you know, because that's not me. So why would I respond with something that I'm not, just to try to teach them a lesson, you know? So it's like, I'm just showing them that I'm no better than them, you know? Anyways, so let me backtrack a little bit and get right back into the free speech thing, you know? So yeah, sometimes you're going to meet people that say things to you that you don't appreciate them saying it, but try to ask them, yo, what's your motivation behind saying this? Like, what are you trying to get at? Like, are you coming at me because you're frustrated with me? Or do you actually give a fuck about my future relationships, and you feel like I'm doing something that's going to corrode every relationship I have? And if I don't stop doing this, then I'm going to lose everything. Relationship with my wife, with my kids, going to lose my job. People are going to hate me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because like, there's been a lot of times when I talk to people about themselves and they think that I'm trying to adjust them. They think that I'm trying to change them. And them thinking that is the reason they can't receive anything that I'm saying, because they're questioning my intentions and assuming that they know exactly what my intention is. But it's like, nah, bro, like the stuff that I'm telling you about, it's not necessarily because I have a problem with it. There's certain shit that if you keep doing and you don't stop, yo, your wife's gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna happen. Like every girl you have is gonna cheat. Every person you meet is gonna hate you. Every person, like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or well, not every person. Maybe that's an exaggeration, because like no matter what, not everybody's gonna look at one person the same way. There's always different, interpretation. But there's certain shit that we pretty much, that a lot of humans, we're on the same page on, in terms of like not liking. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that you don't like when people try to control your life, when people like try to be your daddy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you have one dad. You don't need another one. You know what I'm saying? And so I get that. Like, and I understand that people don't like certain tonalities when people talk to you like you're their son. You know what I'm saying? Or people talk to you like they're the superior, they're the mentor, and you're the student type shit. A lot of people don't like that. Some people, they don't give a fuck because they're like, yo, it's whatever. But I understand that a lot of people, like 80% of people, are gonna flip if you're talking to them like they're a little kid. You know what I'm saying? I get that. Like, I understand tonality. The thing is, and I've even met people. I'm like, bro, look, the way you talk to people, no one likes your tonality, bro. How about you change your tone? And he's like, oh, like, what do you want me to talk all soft and shit? Like, I'm not a soft speaking person. Like, and he kept making it their fault why they're, why they're offended. And I understand what he means, because to some degree, like if you're always offended, like you got to learn how to deal with that, bro. Like, you got to learn how to like not be that way. Because if you don't, you're at the mercy of whoever decides not to offend you, which means if I could push your buttons, is probably anybody that could. You know what I mean? Which means you having a good day is dependent upon me not ruining it, which means you have zero control. You know what I'm saying? This is why I encourage people to try to, like, read books, or, listen to people talk about emotions and how to overcome certain things. Like some of the people I listen to, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, who else? Gary Vee, that's a huge one, man. I love that dude. Dan Mohler, man, he taught me most of what I know. Dan Mohler, that's probably like my number one mentor, So just mentorship, that's the only way that anyone ever changes. But anyways, the hell was I saying? If you, so you, yeah, back to what I was saying earlier. You don't always know someone's intention behind telling you something. Like, here's what's crazy, right? Someone comes up to you. Like, you ever talk to somebody, you try to tell them about themselves, not because you're trying to correct them, you care about their future, and you feel like they're gonna fuck it up being a certain way. So you tell them about themselves, not trying to be condescending. You're conscious of your tone. You're conscious that you're not talking to them like they're a little kid. But as soon as you start having that conversation, they're like, oh, you want to say that about me? Let me tell you about your life. Let me tell you what you need to be doing better. And it's like, bruh, like, why are you flipping it? You making it about me. Like, this conversation's about you. You know what I'm saying? They're unable to handle being on the spotlight. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. And maybe they just don't realize what type of personal growth is on the other side of having honest conversations. If they knew the level of personal growth that could occur from having a conversation that, you consider offensive, they consider offensive, like, yo, there's growth to be found in that. Like, if you listen to what people are saying, and not to dwell on it, not to be offended. And that's why we never hear anything, because we say shit like, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. And if that's a quote that you treasure and you believe in, let me tell you how twisted that shit is and why. Because if it's not about, if you say to yourself, yo, it's not about what's being said, it's about how it's being said, then you're going to focus on how it's being said and completely fucking miss what's being said. It's about what's being said. You know what I mean? Like, yo, there's a lot of philosophies that we grow up believing in that makes us like not know how to properly socialize and communicate and talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we believe in shit like, yo, it's about tonality. It's not about context. It's about context. Because if you listen to tonality, you're going to listen to be offended. And that's all you're gonna come out of the conversation being offended, understanding nothing in terms of why they even said what they said, because all you heard was offense. All you heard was their words to be bothered by it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But when you listen to the words, you're trying to hear the message and not trying to like. And on top of that, if you know how to take a step outside of yourself and not only interpret things your way, but try to understand how they're trying to mean it, because like sometimes people say things and we're quick to try to tell someone else what they mean. It's like, bro, if someone else said something, how do you know exactly what they mean? And we don't really ask questions like, yo, do you mean this? Like, when you said this, I thought this, and I'm just trying to clarify, like, is that what you're actually trying to say? Because I don't want to get it twisted. I'm trying to actually like have a conversation with you and understand your vantage point. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't mind you trying to clarify, but some people will try to twist it because we're so emotional. You know, another thing I want to talk on, people be like, yo, man, they say never talk about politics, religion, blah, blah, blah. It's a touchy subject. There's no fucking subject that's touchy. People are touchy, and people being touchy makes a subject touchy. You know what I mean? Not because the touchy is excuse me, not because the subject is prohibited. It's because people don't know how to maintain their emotions when they're talking about those things. They completely lose their mind. And since, that's why they say never talk about religion, politics, blah, 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 touchy subject, quote unquote. No subject in the world is touchy. People are touchy as hell, yo. People are sensitive. It's not the subject. It's not a sensitive subject. It's sensitive as people talking about the subject, which will make it feel like the topic itself is sensitive. It's the people, man. It's not the topic. You know what I'm saying? Because a topic doesn't have feelings. The people do. Wow, that's crazy. I never thought about that. I gotta write that shit down. Anyways, so like, anyways, I don't know where I come up with this shit. I listen to so many people speak. This shit is just in me, I guess. I don't know. But it's just, all this shit's not original, to be honest. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world that have very similar thoughts or have already said these same exact words before in a different way, in a very similar way. A lot of people take pride in being original. Like, I'm a compilation of everything that inspires me. You know what I'm saying? Like, my music, the way I speak, everything, man. I started listening to someone speak long enough. I started sounding like them. This is why I'm so cautious of what I put in my earbuds. Like, this is why I stay away from trap music, mumble rap. Like, no offense to those of you that want to listen to it. It's fine. Listen to what you want to listen to. But I can't let that shit get in my head, because then I'm going to start talking and acting and, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm good on that. Like, I don't even want to give mumble rap a chance to influence me, so I don't consume it at all. You know what I'm saying? But no hate towards the people that do. Like, people listen to what they want to listen to. Respect, like, to whoever listens to whatever. But anyways, man. So yeah, I just encourage you guys, man, seriously, man, to just let people say what they want freely. Don't put a fucking restriction on everything, because if you do that, you'll never have the honest conversation, because they're incapable of being honest with you, which prevents you from being able to be honest with them. Let me end this on a story, right? There was a time, give me a second. There was a time when I was in a chat room on PlayStation. I was talking to like 6 people. I was showing them a new rap that I had. And in the middle of me rapping, this one guy, he signed into his PS Vita. It's like a Nintendo DS, sort of. It's like a portable Nintendo, sort of. So everybody's on their PS4, right? This guy signs in from his Vita, but he's at Starbucks. So he's at Starbucks, but I'm like, yo, bro, like, in the middle of me rapping, it got super loud because all the customers ordering coffee and shit in the background, like, I could hear all of that. And I'm trying to like show some people like a new rhyme that I wrote or whatever. And it's just, I'm like, yo, and so I had to stop rapping. I'm like, dude, can you mute yourself so that, you could still hear me? Cause, I was like, bro, if you mute yourself, I'll still be able to rap. I just won't be able to hear them loud ass customers in your background. And like, I don't know. I think he had a problem with like muting himself. He was like, no, he was so like, nah, I don't have to mute myself. I'll go outside. So he goes outside, right? I'm like, all right, let me start over. So I start rapping again. This guy starts vaping. And as he's vaping, he's blowing smoke directly into the microphone, and it's loud as hell. And I'm like, bro, like, can you mute yourself? You know what I mean? I said it a second time, like, more aggressively. And I remember, I don't know how that made him feel or whatever, or if he got sensitive about it, but he actually left the chat room shortly afterwards. And I remember, so a couple days later, I apologized to this dude. There was a guy in the chat room with me, right? I had to mute my friend. There was a guy in the chat room. I had to mute him. You know those people that they have so much of a fucking opinion about everything. They just don't know how to not. They don't know when not to speak. There's always a time to speak, and there's always a time to be silent. And people tend to confuse the two. And there's some people that overly talk and give their opinion and stuff like that, and they just don't understand that. Like, yo, chill, man. I'm trying to say something. So what's up, Delania? So while that was happening, right? I was trying to. This person was transgender, by the way. But so I was trying to apologize to him because I was aware of how I spoke to him the other day, and I realized it was kind of, my tonality was sort of harsh. And I was like, bro, like, when you was in Starbucks and them loud ass customers were in the background, I was trying to rap and show everybody else like a song or whatever. I was like, What's up, Delania? How you doing? I was like, bro, like I wasn't trying to be rude when I asked you, can you mute yourself? But then you went outside and you started vaping, and you're blowing your vape juice right into the damn microphone and disturbing, like you know what I mean? It was distracting me, and I was like, but anyways, but I apologize. I was like, I might have spoken to you sort of harshly, my tonality. You know what I'm saying? I'm not proud of the way I spoke to you, so I apologize, man. Like I'm really sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like if I could go back, that shit would have not have had happened. I should have had more patience in the situation. While I'm saying this apology to him, I muted somebody else. Like I said, it's the type of dude that has an opinion about everything. So I muted him because I didn't want to hear what he had to say. You know what I mean? And this is another thing, right? When you being a certain way, it makes people adapt to you differently depending on how you are. Everybody brings joy to a room either by entering the room or leaving. Either when you enter the room, either people are fucking excited that you just entered, or you bring joy to the room by leaving it. Like people are thrilled and clapping and fucking applauding that you left because no one could stand you. You know what I mean? So everyone brings joy to a room either by entering it or by leaving it. And you don't want to be that person that brings joy to a room by leaving it. And I'm not saying that you're supposed to kiss every human's ass and cater to people so much that you lose yourself in the process of trying to please everybody else. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is your character, right? A lot of times it might determine a whole situation, like the way you respond, the way you react. So anyways, I muted this person. I forgot why I'm even telling this story, but I'll finish it anyways. So I muted this person, right? His name was Carter. I muted him to talk to the transgender person to apologize for my harsh tonality that I had the previous day. I was like, yo, I'm really sorry about that. And so when I unmute this other dude, he's sort of a heckler, to be honest, you know. And not that I got a problem with him, but I was just like, yo, I got to mute this guy temporarily so I could apologize. So I unmuted this person to talk to him. I was like, yo, my bad. Because I didn't give him an explanation. I don't know if he thought that he was entitled to receiving one. Like, yo, my bad, dude, I'm about to mute you. I actually got to have a side conversation. I don't always go into details explaining everything. Sometimes I just act. You know what I mean? But whoever has a sense of entitlement, they're going to get mad. Like, bro, you muted me. You didn't even tell me you was about to do that, or you didn't ask me for my permission. Sometimes people will say shit like that. Like you need permission to do everything. But anyways, so when I unmuted him, he muted me. And I remember there was other people in the party, and I asked him, what's up, Dennis? There were other people in the party, and I asked him, I'm like, yo, bro, like, I was like, tell this guy, why did he mute me? And then he came back and I was able to hear him. He was like, yo, the only reason I muted you, bro, is because you did it to me. You know what I mean? And he was like, oh, so I did it right back. If you want to do that to me, I'll do it to you. And I'm like, yo, why are you so damn soft? Like you're a butterfly. I remember I said that to him. And was not the right words to say to people. That's what I thought of him at the time. I'm like, yo, you're a soft ass butterfly, dude. Like I muted you because you're a heckler. You have so much of an opinion. I had to have a sideline conversation, and you got so bitter and resentful that you feel like you have to return an eye for an eye and try to be spiteful towards me. So I asked him. I said, why are you so damn soft? And he was like, oh, I'm not fucking soft. And he got so mad, muted me again. You know what I mean? Like, even though I was telling him about himself, there was probably a proper way to tell him without trying to offend him. You know what I mean? Because to be honest, I was being offensive by saying that. I don't know, man. I don't know how to tell soft people that they're soft in a kind way. I'm sure there's a way to say everything in a kind way, but I don't know if there's a kind way to say that. But anyways, sometimes you got to tell it for how it is, but find a you know what I'm saying, a legitimate way of doing it. So I told him, yo, you're soft. He was like, oh, I'm not soft, blah, blah, blah. And I remember the next time that I saw this person, the first thing that he says, what's the first thing he said? He's like, bro, in regards to the last incident that we had, we don't even need to talk about it, Like, we don't got to talk about it. We don't got to think about it, blah, blah, blah. Like, we could just move on as men. I remember he said something like, as men. I'm like, yo, real men fucking talk about how they feel. You know what I'm saying? There's this notion that you're not a man unless you have a job. Look, man, like, I think real men know how to fucking control their emotions. And their emotions are not controlled by other people. Because if your emotions are controlled by other people, that means you don't control you. Other people do. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that a man? Like, you know what I'm saying? People take so much pride in having a job for 25 years and they think that that's, that what you call it, validates their manhood. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, like if anybody could get a reaction out of you, if anybody could trigger you, if anybody could shape the course of your day, like at what point does emotional stability come into the conversation in terms of like what a real man is? Like no one's having that conversation. So he said, yo, as men, we could just ignore it. It's like, nah, man, like that's some bitch ass shit. Like, sorry for cursing, like, to sweep things under the rug. I'm like, why not talk about it? Here's why: because people don't like friction, they don't like confrontation, you know. And that passive aggressive shit leads to people being cut off. Anyways, this person's not my friend anymore. I remember one time they randomly deleted me. It's all good. But he was like, yeah, like, what is this notion, yo? I'll probably want to end it on this note. Why do men feel like they can't express how they feel? What's this thing that no one could talk about what's on their mind? It's better to sweep shit under the rug. You know what I'm saying? The shit that you sweep under the rug turns into a fucking monster that devours you and all of your relationships. Like, the more you sweep shit under the rug, why not tell somebody, yo, I don't like you? Why not tell somebody, yo, I can't stand the way you talk to me. I can't stand this. And if it continues, there's going to be ramifications, consequences. I'm not saying I'm going to kick your ass or anything. What I am saying is you're not going to be a part of my life. Like, if you want to continue being a jackass, fine, but go do that somewhere else, right? How come we can't have those type of conversations? I know why, because we're sensitive. We can't handle these are the type of things that we want to sweep under the rug. You know what I'm saying? And I really believe that it's always the conversations that you avoid having that you probably should have. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think that when you come back from your 4-day vacation that you'll be ready to talk about it then, like, oh, I don't want to be bothered with this shit, man. Not now. Why are you so serious all the time? Like, let me go on vacation, bro. Like, I'm on vacation. Like, when I come back, we could talk about it. Like, bro, if you push it off, it'll never happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you delay shit till later, you keep pushing shit till later, and then later never comes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how many people been saying, man, I'll follow my dream eventually? They're 89. And it's like, bruh, like, what you gonna wait till you're 94? And then, like, is that your idea of eventually? So it's like, yo, why not do it right now? So even me and my roommate, like, I didn't have to write a song about how much I didn't like this dude. We should have had honest conversations, but depending on people's level of sensitivity, I know a lot of times you'll know a sensitive ass person and you'll just completely avoid having the conversation because you think that they're a complete waste of your time. And let me tell you something about you thinking someone's a complete waste of your time. Once you get to that level, everybody knows how much you dislike that person. Everybody knows how much you dislike them except for the person who you specifically dislike. They have no idea because you feel like you can't tell them because you feel like they're going to start crying the moment you start expressing yourself. And it's like, how can you get to a solution if you can't talk about it honestly? You know what I mean? You'll never get to a solution. You'll just continue having a problem. And then that problem gets pent up to the point that you're like, fuck it. If we can't talk freely, you're cut off. Like, why do I even have you in my life if I can't have honest conversations? I feel like every relationship, they're going to last if they're grounded in honest conversations. You know what I'm saying? And honesty hurts, man. It's supposed to hurt. Only the lies feel good. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So people need to, when women be like, yo, do I look fat in this dress? If the answer is yes, be like, yo, just say yes. I remember I was listening to a guy talk about that. He was like, when my wife asks me that question, if I think she looks fat in that dress, I actually tell her, hey, I don't feel like answering this question. But he was like, but she instantly knows what I think, that I don't like it, or I don't like the style, or I do think she looks fat in it, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, right? Some people ask for honest feedback and then get mad when they get it. If you're a musician, if you're an artist, right? You're asking somebody, what do they think of your song? And they tell you your song is fucking trash. Why are you going to get mad at the person when you asked for honest feedback? You said, yo, don't bullshit me. If the song is whack, let me know. If it's good, let me know. I'd like to know specifically what parts you don't like if you don't like it. And then they tell you they don't like it. And you can't even get to what they don't like because you're so mad at them for not liking it because you feel like they should like it because it's artistically beautiful according to your subjective point of view, man. Like, you're the artist that created it. Everybody who creates something is going to think it's good. Like, you could take a shit and fucking polish it. Doesn't make it good just because it's your creation. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone's going to view it as it being shitty. You know what I'm saying? But in your mind, it's the most majestic piece of work ever. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, you don't get to decide for other people what's beautiful artwork. You know what I mean? This is why I don't argue with people in terms of like what music is good. It's like, yo, if you like trap music, if you like mumble rap, I mean, that shit is corny to me, but whatever you want to listen to, like, what am I going to do? Argue with you about it? Like, like, art is in the eye of the beholder, just like beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like everything, preference. A lot of things are subjective. We fight over subjective things and make it objective in our mind and then have a problem with anybody that has a different subjective point of view. You know what I'm saying? So Yeah, anyways, so honest conversations, man. I believe in that shit. I believe that people should talk freely. I believe if someone has a problem with me, I should be able to talk to them and ask them, what do they hate about me specifically? Like, what do I do that get on their nerve? You know what I'm saying? Like, honest conversations. I remember there was a woman who refused to have an honest conversation with me. I was talking about the pharmaceutical companies, and she felt like I had no business having that conversation or doing a podcast about it because I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to have that opinion, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, like let's have a conversation. I bet you she didn't want to talk to me. Why? Because she's disgusted by me. Because how dare you question Big Farm? How dare you have an opinion different than mine's? The nerve of you. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, like people can't have different opinions. So, and here's the thing: when you start drawing the line in the sand to the point where you can't have conversations with anybody because you hate their opinion so much, you know what I mean? Like, if you can't talk to somebody, that's your enemy. You know what I mean? And enemies, like, you don't think about making peace with them. You think about how they should be exterminated or eliminated, or you know what I'm saying? You start having the type of thoughts that fucking Hitler had, like, and although those thoughts might never manifest into physically doing anything, but yo, man, like, the fact that it happened before means that it happened again, like what Hitler thought of people, he thought that they were like insects or rats or something. I forgot. I read some article and it was talking about how he used to view the people that were being killed. He didn't view them as humans. And when you don't view somebody as a human being, bro, like, you're gonna treat them like shit because you view them like shit. And how you treat people is only a reflection of how you view them. So if there's anybody in your life mistreating you, they view you like shit, and maybe it's a reflection of how they view themselves. Maybe they don't have high aspirations or goals or dreams or things they want to accomplish. You know what I mean? Like, this is why when you try to start your business opportunity, your broke ass friend is going to tell you, yo, you're incapable of doing anything like that. Like, maybe you should get a job, or maybe you should do this. They're suggesting that you be an average ass person, because if you level up and you take one step above them, now they feel left out, and it's like, bro, you had a chance to grow with me. You know what I mean? Don't get mad at me progressing in life when you have a chance to advance yourself. Like, you could come along for the ride, but if you want me to stay mediocre as hell with you, I'm sorry, man. You could do that. You're on that path by yourself, because I'm on a path to greatness. You know what I mean? Like, so the nerve of people to try to suppress someone's talent, try to suppress, you know what I mean? Like Eminem, like, he has so much ego that if there was someone lyrically more talented than him, I doubt that he would ever sign them on his label and push them as talent moving forward, like, and really like represent and be proud of them. Because if they start getting the same recognition, I remember I heard it on his albums where he honestly admitted that he used to hate on Kanye West. He used to hate on Lil Wayne because when he wasn't in the spotlight anymore, Kanye West and Lil Wayne was in the spotlight, and that shit was killing his pride and his ego, because he remembers when he used to get that level of admiration, he used to get that level of praise or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, like, when you have ego, when you have pride, you just won't be able to be happy for somebody else, because whatever recognition you think they're getting, maybe you think it's undeserved, or you feel like it should be redirected to you. You know what I'm saying? Fucking pride, man. Like, there's certain people that I would never be part of their music label. You know what I'm saying? Because if I start elevating above them, yo, one time, let me tell you about another conversation that happened, right? I remember I was on PlayStation, I was sitting with somebody, and I'm like, yo, if I was famous right now, what's up, Shania? I was like, yo, if I was famous right now, I could fill up a chat room with 5,000 people in like 2 minutes. And you know what this person said to me? He was like, oh, that's mighty prideful of you to say. I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, let me remind you that you have a studio producer now. And let me remind you that's a person that I introduced you to, and I didn't have to introduce you to that person. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you, salty that I just said what I said, because, and he was mad because, like, he thought that my goal was to be as famous as possible and just do it for vanity purposes. I'm not gonna lie. I used to want to be famous for all the wrong reasons. Now, you know why I want 10 million followers now, 15 million followers on social media? Because I have something to say, because I have something that I think could penetrate, you know what I'm saying, the minds of people and possibly shape their life and cause them to be different and live better lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like I really have something useful to say. You know what I'm saying? It's not because I want to flex on a gram and show off. And, I used to want materialistic things. I thought Lamborghinis were cool, man. I thought mansions were cool. I thought all this shit was cool. And, it still is kind of cool. But it's like, nah, man, if I get a lot of followers, it's only for one reason, because I actually have something to say. But his ego, right, or his pride of what he thinks is not permissible. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't think that someone should want to be famous. He thinks that that's a bad thing because he thinks his idea of fame is someone having so much money that they fill an empty swimming pool with the money and they swim through it, right? Just vanity, just meaningless, you know what I mean? Just for no reason, just to hoard it all and not try to be about other people or help anybody else. You know what I'm saying? We demonize fame, we demonize money, you know, and there's nothing wrong with money, having a lot of it, you know, because when you start winning, everybody starts winning. When you learn how to negotiate and communicate effectively, because when you're at a job, who's going to get the raise? The person that doesn't know how to efficiently communicate, or the person that's a master at communication? The person that's like, here's why I should get a raise, and here's the ramifications of what happens if you don't give me a raise, because I'm going to leave, and here's how your establishment is going to be affected if I leave. You know what I mean? Like, not in a threatening way. I'm sure there's ways to say this where it doesn't come off like you're being a jackass, but someone that doesn't know how to communicate, they're going to get less in life. They're going to demand more and receive less because they think that they could get rich by demand. They think that the world is going to give them things because they think they're entitled to it. It's like, nah, man, learn how to get it, learn how to communicate, So yeah, like effective communication, man. That's what I like about music. Like, that's why I like lyricists so much. The way they communicate, like, of course, the way they rhyme words is so intricate and interesting. I like that aspect, but I like the communication behind it. I was always obsessed with communication, like how to communicate effectively, like different perspectives and stuff like that. I always wanted to learn how to be better at speaking, So yeah, that obsession got me to where I'm at now. And I'm probably not even half the speaker that I could be if I learned even more. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea what my true potential is. Only God knows. I have an idea, maybe, but it's probably nowhere close to what it actually is. My estimate of what's possible for me is probably way below my actual potential in terms of what I could accomplish if I'm fully submitted to the things that I know that I think God wants me to do before I die. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know where the hell I'm even going with this podcast anymore. I'm just rambling. I'm saying a bunch of stuff, but I hope it's worth your time, man. I hope that you guys allow people to be honest with you, have honest conversations, because when people can't talk to you, they'll talk to everybody else about you. And you might wonder why people do that, but that's because you haven't made yourself a person that people could talk to without you being sensitive about it. So they talk to everybody else, and everybody else knows they have a problem with you except you, because you're a person that they can't talk to at all. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want that for your life. So on that note, I'm out. I see you on the next podcast. Take care.